I totally agree, and I think that one of the things like when you look at the classes, it's not like, oh, on 247 they don't jump out at you as like, oh, this is they, but they have a bunch of solid upper 3 stars, and then they get the guys that they have like. One of the things that like we talked baseball off air, but like if you have conviction about a prospect or a player, then make a move and get that guy. They obviously did with Landino. They clearly did with Dontre Henderson, who's a cornerback. Saw some good things from him. Um, you
Let's
know,
talk about bloodlines. That's Jair Alexander's cousin.
there you go. So, and I'm just saying, like they saw these things. It's like don't let the number next to the name, or the star next to the name deter you. Because if you're a good player, people are going to find you. And this staff knows how to find kids. So and not just this staff though, but the only guy that they kept around was Bob Bostad, and I just let that man cook. He's got brings in these guys are like, okay, middling 3-star. I mean, we saw my breakout. I want to kind of get to it. I guess I'll talk about it right now, but I want to see the offensive line. Outside of quarterback, there's nothing more important than offensive and defensive line, in my opinion. I don't care the other position. Yes, corner is important. Yes, having playmakers is important, but you don't win if you can't block and if you can't get the quarterback. And so I just my breakout guys I want to see, or I wanted to see, Ademola Johnny, guard, redshirt
Love
freshman.
Ajani.
Right. He's one dude that I think is going to be really good. There was a workout video of him doing like high knees going over and just like he just looks like a monster. So that guy, Baylor Wilkin, another freshman that's on campus. He's only listed at 268. I think he's going to be a tackle. They thought he was going to be a guard, but the stuff that you're seeing on Twitter like has him playing tackle. I wanted to see that. And then, of course, getting back to the starters, where are the starters? I know we heard that Khalil Benson was injured. We know Drew Evans is coming back from the Achilles he had last year. Yeah. Sig said he would be back. Is he going to be back? I have no idea. Can you count on him? We don't know. But beside that, Carter Smith, Pat Coogan, Bray Lynch, and then the right tackle they brought in Mikulski from Ohio State. Like I wanted to see those guys and see how they gel against what I think is going to be an awesome defensive line. Your thoughts, I guess?
100% agree. I wrote down offensive line, which spots are up for grabs. Obviously, Carter Smith is locked in at left tackle, Coogan locked in at center. I think it could get interesting with Bray Lynch because he was the left guard last year, but they are replacing the right tackle. So I wouldn't be surprised for continuity reasons if they potentially messed around with him on the other side. That being said, he was pretty damn good at left guard last year. So do you really want to just move that guy? I don't know, but there are a couple guys like Zen Mikowski, like you just said, they brought in the tackle from Ohio State. Khalil Benson, who we think profiles a little bit more as a guard, but he's not available in the spring. Evans, like you said, isn't available in the spring. And then you have Ajani and Austin Liebfried, who looks like they're talented enough to kind of start pushing the ones. And so are those guys going to get an opportunity to compete? I was pretty interested to see what the starting one guard spot and the tackle spot looked like, and then how quickly that rotation went, because I think I don't want to say it's a full-blown open competition, but I think a lot of these younger guys are pushing the starters.
Yeah, and it makes sense given the departures of guys like Cooper Jones, Austin Barrett, Vinny Feikable. I mean, it's very clear that Ajani and Liebfried, I would say specifically, are probably making huge strides in their development. I think Liebfried projects more so as a tackle, but he was getting guard reps in game last year as a freshman. Ajani's definitely that guard type, and hey, with Evans and Benson both hurt, like who hates the idea of putting, Lynch and Ajani at the guard spots, Mikowski and Lynch as your bookends, and national championship game starter Pat Coogan starting at center. I don't hate that going into the season at all. And then having a guy like Benson who can kind of go into 4 different spots, kind of being that rotational guy potentially as he comes off an injury. And then because we had 2 injuries on the O-line last year. You got to have some depth, and it looks like we have like 8 playable guys if you want to put Ajani and Liebfried in that bunch, and it looks very promising going into spring. So just seeing it firsthand with Ajani and Liebfried, knowing that they're ready to go in if needed to be called upon, it would have been something really nice to see in the spring game.
Yeah, I don't think I'm like breaking news here. I know that I don't know which board I saw it on, but I know they said that Liebfried had, or however you say his name, Liebfried, he had I think Sig said he had a club.
Yeah,
He had a club
Sig
on
said it.
Yeah, he had a club on one of his hands. So, but to your point, like I think one of my favorite parts about Bostad and that he does more than any other offensive line coach since I've been following IU and just football in general, he wants multiple position guys. So, like, I mean, I know that Liebfried, he's 6'6", 288. That's a tackle body, but they are playing him inside because, like, you don't know when the next Drew Evans random Achilles injury in practice is going to happen. You don't know. So, getting a Johnny reps at all three inside foot. I mean, he's more of a inside guy. He's probably not a tackle. He's only 6'4", but like getting reps all across the line is fantastic. Having Liebfried go from guard to tackle, great. Evan Lawrence, I think, is not going to do that. I think he's kind of just a tackle. Right. I think he's the next one behind Carter Smith. I think one of the reasons you saw Austin Barrett leave is probably because of Austin Liebfried and Evan Lawrence. I mean, that would be my guess of why he left, because he sees the writing on the wall. Those guys are probably ahead of him on the depth chart. He's older than them. So it's exciting. But again, we're not going to really see it. I just want to see who performs against this defensive line, because again, we'll talk about it in a minute, but the defensive line, it looks legit, like really legit.